Hello, my name is Andy Hatcher, and this is my budget presentation for how I'd allocate the $10,000. Here's my list of vendors. We got the 5 buckets and 3 vendors per bucket. So for furniture, I'd go with Lone Star Furnishings, IKEA, and Big Lots. For the makerspace activities, Amazon, Target, and Goodwill. Never know what you can find. For technology, I'd go through Best Buy, Fax for Me, which is an online database, and a lot of us have heard of Powtoon. For supplies and decor, Demco came highly recommended. Of course, there's HEB and Office Depot. And lastly, for books, Bound to Stay Bound, Follett, and Mackin. For each budgetary bucket, I went with the vendor in bold on the previous slide as my main vendor. So for furniture, that was Lone Star Furnishings. The reason being, they seem to have a wide selection, seem to be affordable, and it's all here in the state of Texas, of course. So I wanted to provide a foundation here in terms of tools and then offer students a cool place to sit. So the everything cart could contain anything that's not a book, any kind of makerspace activity. For the standard book cart, I got the 3 shelf, flat shelf cart here. And then in terms of that neat kind of cool place to sit where we've seen every library seems to have one now, they were more expensive than I thought. And so this was the cheapest option. Those bigger circular and square couches that you sit inside were like $5,000. So I tried to find something cheaper that more students could use. And I found this lily pad cart where each of these cushions cost about 200 bucks and they're durable, so they should last. So this will provide solid infrastructure, and again, these lily pads are just cheaper than the other kind of cool slash snazzy types of places to sit and read. So next, for the makerspace activities, I went with good old Amazon. They're often the cheapest and pretty much, I guess, always the easiest option. And I tried to find items that would cover the basics and then also offer a variety of STEM and then any other kind of thought provoking activity or game like checkers or chess or tic tac toe for students of all ages. So on the far left, you see this Gravitrax game, which is a marble run, but a little more advanced, a little more hip. Next to that, you see a Lego space shuttle that I could see students putting together over time. You know, that would take a little while to build, but it would be there to work on as students came in and out of the library. There in the middle, I'm a big fan of the domino games where you build a elaborate domino set, like in that show Domino Masters, and getting a couple of those would cost about 88 bucks. And then next to that, maybe you're familiar with kinetic sand, which is this moldable, almost it almost feels wet, but it's not quite wet. It's like this moldable sand that I thought the younger students would like to play with. It can be messy, but you can take care of that. And I think it'd be a fun hands-on activity for younger elementary students. And on the far right, you see this combo board, chess, checkers, tic-tac-toe. Getting 5 of those would cost a little over $100. So with all those activities, I think it'd be a good foundation of makerspace projects to work on in the library. So next, probably my most expensive bucket, that being technology. So I chose Best Buy as my main vendor. Their prices seem comparable, and then there's always a Best Buy nearby, so it's pretty accessible as well. So I chose these 3 items. Of course, the 3D printer on the left, the filament for the 3D printer there in the middle, and then on the far right, a VR headset, which comes with 2 games. So these are hot button foot traffic increasing items that I think would bring everyone into the library and then hopefully get kids hooked on various STEM projects. In the time I've spent at my mentor sites, the 3D printer is constantly running and students seem completely into it. So that novelty has not worn off. I don't think it will anytime soon. I think every library should probably have one. And I'm not as familiar with the VR goggles, but I could see it bringing students into the library and getting them interested in STEM and other types of VR activities, not just games, not just playing games, but then investigating other things and just getting into technology in general. And anytime a student's coming into the library, I think it's a win. And so I think tech is a big draw, and these items would satisfy that. 2 buckets left. The next one being supplies and decor. My main vendor for this was Dimco. Reason being, they have a wide variety, affordable prices, and they came highly recommended from my mentor. When you're looking in their catalog, they basically have all the little things like labels and signage and book supports, and then bigger items like bookshelves. So the justification here, displaying and labeling books in some kind of an attention grabbing, easily decodable way is really important for maintaining high levels of circulation in your library. You want books to be seen, you want them to be displayed in a way that students can readily check them out and look at them. And so I'm assuming the library would have some of those, but I chose this Rolly display case as a way to move that around the library. So it's not in the same place all the time, and then making sure the signage and all the labeling and all the little parts of the library are organized and making books easy to find. Speaking of books, our last main budgetary column is books, and our main vendor is Bound to Stay Bound. So if you've heard of the company, their reputation lives up to their name. Their books are super durable, which is especially important for ones that'll be checked out a lot and are going to stay in circulation. So the justification here, these award-winning books will be in high demand, and I want to make sure they're going to last. I assume that the library will have a lot of the previous winners of the Newbery and Caldecott, but I want to make sure that we have the most recent ones as well. So the remainder of the budget, which you'll see on the next slide, will go towards making sure we purchase the most contemporary and recent award-winning books. So Free Water is the Newbery Award winner of 2023. Hot Dog won the Caldecott. Memoirs of a Tortoise, the Bluebonnet of this year. And then Nat for Nothing didn't win an award, but it's just a contemporary graphic novel, this Nat series from Maria Scriven. So again, I want to make sure that we're up to speed. And if there are gaps from past winners, past honor books like the Coretta Scott King, the Pura Belpre, Tejas Star, any new graphic novel that's going to be in high demand, we'll fill in those gaps from previous years, but also make sure we get the most recent winners as well. So I added up the numbers you saw on the slides, the furniture, the makerspace activities. In the technology, the 3 months of Powtoon is free. That's a free trial period. And then I'd invest in that if I thought that was a good idea. The fax for me was $150 for the whole year of access to that database, both at school and at home. All the supplies came to $12.49, and then that gave us $11.81 to spend on the most recent award-winning books and filling in the gaps from years previous. So there's the budget, and thanks for listening.